Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Today we have 4 brand new stories for you. Let's start with a short one to warm you up. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Stealing from the company that pays you. I once worked with a girl that had a serious stealing problem. I made it a point not to hang out with her if the activity was shopping. Yes, we were friends, but I refused to go to any retail store with her. Well, one day she calls me and tells me we might not be working together anymore. I asked her why, and she says because she got caught stealing at a sister store that we worked for. And the kicker was that she had just cashed her check in that store and then went shopping. She was caught by LP and told them she worked for the company at a different store. She actually asked me to defend her to our store manager. I was like, nope, not worth my job. And the next day she was fired. She actually expected me to feel sorry for her. And our second story. Give 2 weeks notice? Fine. Bye. I was working at this clothing store years ago. No commission. It was the brand's first store in my area and stayed with them for about 2 years. They were pretty desperate too, as they hired me on the spot. Anyway, all the supervisors I liked ended up quitting and the remaining ones were just plain not nice. I was the youngest on the team and they always excluded me and bullied me. I guess jealousy? Which I never understood. Because although I got positive reviews and customers making sure to point out that I helped them, we did not have sales commissions. I just like to help, and I like fashion. I also was in school, and they often called me to cover for people. School was close by, so I could be there fast. I was always adaptable for them, but this one supervisor just had it out for me. My hours got cut, they were messing with my mental health, I needed a change. I applied to this other job and was quite sure I got it. I decided I'd book 2 weeks off work around the time the start date would be. My supervisor didn't even want to let me have the time off, despite it being the only days other than exams I'd booked off in 2 years. And they're unpaid. Fast forward to the day before my 2-week vacation. I got the job, I show up at the clothing store, no shift, and asked to speak with my supervisor. We talk, I quit, she had the sarcastic happiness, but I didn't care, I was over it. The supervisor made it clear that I was still required to work all my shifts for the next 2 weeks, and that I better not slack. I smiled at her, thanked her for acknowledging my work ethic, and put my name tag and keys on her desk. She looked confused. I reminded her that I took 2 weeks off, so this is goodbye. I turned around and left. Mental health has been so much better without her. The store's now closed permanently. That I better not slack? Or else what? She'd fire you? That's a pretty empty threat by a helpless supervisor. And our next story. You must keep it in your possession at all times. Quite a few years ago, I worked for a small company that provided vehicles on lease to people, more specifically to those with impaired credit. As these people would not get approved for traditional methods of finance, our rates were significantly higher. How much higher? Heaps. A $20,000 loan over 3 years at a rate of 20% means repayments of about $175 per week. We'd charge, on average, an extra $100 to $125 on top. We'd include registration costs, insurance, a yearly service, as well as cover a set of new tires over the 3-year term. But remember, it's a lease and you have to hand the car back to us. But people with bad credit can't take the cheaper option and came to us. My job was simple. Take an application, get their supporting docs, and send all of it through to the credit team who were in head office in a different state. If they got approved, because there are those even we wouldn't extend a line of credit to, then I'd put them onto one of the many cars we had in the fleet. I'd run through contract docs, get signatures, take their deposit, and smile and wave as they drove off in their leased vehicle. The work was a bit tedious and processes were long and convoluted when they didn't need to be. Some customers felt entitled to getting a vehicle just because we helped those with bad credit and were very angry and belligerent when we declined them. Everything started off well, and the commission for getting customers into cars was very healthy. I enjoyed the job as there were genuine people that had come into some difficulty but were great customers and just needed to be given a chance despite what their credit file said. For these customers, I'd even stay back outside of office hours so they didn't have to take time off work to come sign and collect their car. Once I became comfortable, I started to streamline the application process in an attempt to make life easier for everyone. I'd gained enough experience that I could tell by looking at an applicant's docs if the credit team would approve them or not. Rather than get an applicant's hopes up and burden the credit team, I'd politely reject their application without sending it to the head office. Head office didn't like this because they felt I'd become a law unto myself. I was chewed out as I was not authorized to approve or decline applications and firmly ordered to follow the process. Soon enough, the credit team became crappy as they became inundated with applications and were backlogged. Management then chewed me out again for sending rubbish to the credit team and wasting their time. When I asked what they wanted me to do moving forward, I was told, figure it out or find a new job. That's when my enthusiasm for the job died and my attention turned towards malicious compliance. Now, part of my job was taking a deposit when customers came to sign their lease contracts. The finance lady, FL, that dealt with and tracked the payments and deposits from customers worked in another state. Thank God. She was a nightmare to deal with. She wouldn't answer your questions as it wasn't her job to teach or instruct. Wouldn't respond to your emails or voicemail. She rarely answered her phone as she was always busy, unless it was to ask for something she wanted. She would cut you off as you responded to her questions once she'd heard what she wanted to. She could never be corrected and was just a PITA. She talked down to me when she first told me of the process as if I'd never been to a bank nor knew how they operated. FL, if you take cash, it must never leave your possession until you bank it. Do you understand? If it's not deposited, you must have it at all times. Tell me you understand. Yup. Don't yep me. This is serious. I don't need stupid people cocking up something so simple. Okay, I got it. I'll do as you say. I had to deposit the cash into the company account the day it was received. To make things more tedious, I couldn't just do it as a lump sum. It had to be individual deposits matching the amounts customers gave me. This was really painful when I couldn't get to the bank in time and had to use the ATM to each deposit. The ATM deposit takes 3 to 5 minutes for each transaction, and the closest one was 15 minutes in the wrong direction when leaving for the day. It was extra annoying when I'd already stayed back a couple hours for a customer, then had to lose another 35 minutes before starting off for home. After getting chewed out, I stopped doing the deposits the same day. I did them every other day, then at the end of each week. I'd take an extra long lunch to stop by the bank and make the deposit over the counter. The teller would eye roll when they saw me because of how tedious it was for them as well. Nothing happened for 2 months, and I never heard anything from head office about it. Then one Friday, as I left work at lunch as I had an appointment in the afternoon, I stopped by the bank on the way. The line was huge, and I was in a crunch to make my appointment. I get to the teller, and he punches in the account number and tells me it's been closed. I get him to check the account number again, and he confirms what he first said. I'm running late, so I figure I'll bring it up with the head office on Monday. As I pull up to the office on Monday, there's a lovely, huge realtor sign on the building saying it's on the market. I asked my other colleagues when that went up, and they said it was done late Friday. Calls and emails to head office go unanswered, more cars go out that week, and more deposits are taken. Management finally reach out at the end of the week and say the company's looking for a new location for our office and it's business as usual. I try to bring up the issue with deposits and get shut down instantly and referred to FL as that's her area. I send her 2 emails a day about it and even CC management and even print them out as a fallback as I've been bitten before. I also noticed that my salary comes from a different bank now. After 2 months, an email comes across from management that they're closing all offices at the end of the week. Attached to the email is details of my severance. It clearly states that all new and existing customers need to be directed to contact head office. Any contracts/cars that are to go out this week will still go out, and that I'm specifically not to tell them that the office will be closing. Friday rolls around, and some hired security come to watch us clean out our desks. As I finish packing my stuff into a box, a customer comes in to collect their car and sign the lease documents. I take their deposit, put it into the now full cash box that's held all the other deposits for the past couple months. I call FL to ask about the money and what I'm supposed to do with it. To my shock, she answers her phone. Me. Hey, about the deposits taken today. FL. Oh my God, don't tell me you've lost them. Me. What? No, they're here with me, but... FL. Then what's the problem? Are you stupid? Do as I said and don't let them out of your possession or I'll have your butt. Now, I'm busy. Ask someone else your dumb questions and don't bother me. Click. I pull the receiver away from my face and stare at it in disbelief. How could she be such a jerk on my last day? That B. I hang up the phone and look at the cash box. Then I smile and put it in with the rest of my belongings and walk out, ushered by security. I never heard from them again. And our last story. He wanted it painted, they painted it. My grandfather was born in 1943 and was a sailor in the 60s. He subscribed to a very tight honor code when it came to taking care of one's friends and community. So when a little old lady who'd lived in her house as long as anyone could remember had her rental lease passed on to a new owner, no one was pleased when he evicted her after higher rent. My grandfather, however, offered to help with the exit maintenance, and the landlord requested a new paint job. So painted he did, in one day, with all his sailor mates. Every interior wall, floor, and roof with black ship paint. You know, the stuff that's supposed to withstand being at sea. My grandfather said he was irate, but couldn't do anything because all he'd requested was a paint job with no other stipulations. And that's what they'd done. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.